Various regions of the world, with their unique geographical features and diversities, enchant people. The lush greens of the Amazon rainforests, the endless sands of the Sahara Desert, and the majestic peaks of the Himalayas reflect the diversity and beauty of our planet. Amidst all these magnificent landscapes, Antarctica's cold and harsh world, with its distinctive structure and filled with mystery, stands out. This pristine white region is home to a variety of life forms, from seal colonies to penguin colonies, from glaciers to deep-sea creatures. The silence of Antarctica and the riches hidden beneath the ice attract nature lovers and scientists, increasing their interest in exploring this polar continent day by day. Antarctica is the coldest and driest continent on Earth. Known primarily as the ice continent, the majority of Antarctica is covered by permanent ice sheets, with over 98% of its surface covered in ice. This vast ice sheet has a series of different topographic formations, filled with underground lakes and glacier flows. Antarctica lies around the South Pole and covers an area of 14 million square kilometers, making it the fifth largest continent on Earth. Geographically, it is bordered to the north by South America, the South Atlantic, and the Indian Ocean, to the east by the Southern Ocean, and to the west by South America and the Atlantic Ocean. In the center of the continent, stretching from east to west, lies the Transantarctic Mountains, including the highest point, Vinson Massif, at 4,892 meters. This mountainous region divides the continent from east to west. Additionally, beneath the surface of Antarctica lies a massive ice mass. This ice sheet averages 1.6 kilometers in thickness and can reach up to 4.8 kilometers in some areas, resulting in a total ice volume of approximately 26.5 million cubic kilometers. The northern coasts of Antarctica are often characterized by glaciers, land, and mountain ranges, while the southern coasts are defined by milder and more temperate climates. The coastal areas host numerous research stations where annual average temperatures range from -10 to -30 degrees Celsius, allowing scientists to conduct research on various aspects of the continent. One of Antarctica's geographical features is its large bays and seas such as the Weddell Sea and the Ross Sea, around which many seabirds and marine mammals inhabit the coastal strip. Additionally, fish and other marine creatures living in the seas constitute a part of Antarctica's biological diversity. However, these seas often carry the risk of freezing year-round and present extremely challenging conditions. Another significant geographical feature of Antarctica is the subglacial lakes found in the continent's interior. These subglacial lakes are freshwater reservoirs trapped under glaciers for millions of years. Scientists believe that these lakes could provide an environment where life could thrive and even evolve. The discovery and study of these lakes have contributed significantly to our understanding of the limits of life on our planet and the possible conditions for extraterrestrial life. Yet another important geographical feature of Antarctica is the movement of giant ice sheets. These ice sheets continuously flow from the coastal regions towards the sea, forming massive icebergs. These glacier flows are a significant factor affecting the world's balance and may contribute to the rise in global sea levels. Moreover, glacier flows shape the geological structure of the continent and lead to the formation of various landforms in coastal areas. Antarctica is located quite far from other continents. The distance to the nearest continent, South America, through the Drake Passage, is approximately 1,000 kilometers. The distance to Australia, via the Ross Sea, is approximately 2,500 kilometers. The distance to the continent of Africa, via the Indian Ocean, is about 3,700 kilometers. The closest points to Antarctica are the southern tip of South America, such as the city of Ushuaia in Argentina or the city of Punta Arenas in Chile. However, for the rest of the continent, the distance is quite significant, making transportation challenging. This distance contributes to maintaining Antarctica's isolated nature and its unique ecosystem. The polar regions are landforms with the most extreme and harsh conditions on Earth. These regions include the Arctic near the North Pole and Antarctica near the South Pole. Both polar regions have unique geological features and topographic structures. The Arctic is largely built upon an ocean floor consisting of sea ice. The Polar Sea is characterized by a series of shallow water areas and land masses. The geology of the North Pole is often recognized for its underground petroleum and natural gas reserves. Additionally, the ice sheets in the Arctic can mask geological formations underground, making geographical exploration difficult. The topographic structure in the North Pole generally consists of low hills, glaciers, and shallow areas on the seabed. On the other hand, the geology and topography of Antarctica are more pronounced and dramatic. This continent is covered by a massive ice sheet, and most of the landmass lying beneath the soil is covered by the Transantarctic Mountains, including some of the highest mountains on Earth. These mountains form a massive ridge system that divides the continent. Furthermore, Antarctica's geology includes unique features such as subglacial lakes and glacier flows lying beneath the ice sheets. These geological features provide scientists with the opportunity to understand the continent's climate history and research past climate changes on Earth. While Antarctica's topographic structure is generally high and mountainous, there are also lower and flatter terrains in coastal areas. The geology and topography of the polar regions shed light on the history and natural processes of our planet. Additionally, the extreme conditions in these regions serve as a laboratory for environmental scientists and researchers, providing significant data on climate change and environmental impacts on our planet. Antarctica is one of the coldest and harshest climates on Earth. Located south of the Antarctic Circle, this continent is subjected to extremely cold and windy conditions throughout the year. The continent features vast areas usually covered in glaciers, which largely influence the continent's climate. The climate in the interior regions of Antarctica is characterized by extreme cold and dryness. Even during the summer months, temperatures can remain below freezing, dropping as low as -80 degrees Celsius in winter. This extreme cold contributes to the continent being almost entirely covered in ice sheets. Antarctica is also one of the windiest places on Earth. The high elevations and uneven terrain of the continent cause intense winds to form. These winds, known as katabatic winds, can sometimes reach speeds of up to 320 kilometers per hour. In the coastal regions of Antarctica, the climate is somewhat milder, yet still quite cold and windy. During the summer months, temperatures generally remain below freezing, and in winter, they can drop even lower. In these areas, glacier flows that bring more water to the coast due to the melting and dissolution of sea ice are also frequently observed. This affects the local climate and can sometimes lead to sudden weather changes. The climate and weather conditions of Antarctica determine the continent's unique ecosystem. Organisms adapted to these harsh conditions range from seabirds along the coastal areas to microorganisms living in the interior regions. Additionally, these extreme conditions allow scientists to use Antarctica as a laboratory to understand climate change in Earth's past climate history. Antarctica's climate and weather conditions not only impact the local ecosystem but also make a significant contribution to the global climate system. The ice sheets covering this continent play a critical role in global warming and the rise in sea levels. However, in recent years, global warming and climate change have caused significant changes in Antarctica's climate and ice cover. Scientists indicate that the melting of glaciers and the decrease in sea ice in Antarctica could contribute to an increase in global sea levels and ocean temperatures. This could exacerbate imbalances in climate systems worldwide and affect millions of people living in coastal areas. Additionally, the release of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases from melting glaciers can strengthen the greenhouse effect, further accelerating climate change. Antarctica's climate and weather conditions are not only of interest to scientific researchers but also attract adventurers and nature enthusiasts who want to explore the mysteries of this wild land. However, due to the continent's fragile ecosystem and unique natural environment, its conservation and sustainable management are of paramount importance. Known as a continent where extreme conditions prevail and life struggles, Antarctica harbors surprising biological diversity beneath its freezing waters and glaciers. From polar birds to seals, whales to krill, a wide range of species thrive in Antarctica's unique ecosystem. The rich marine life of Antarctica is particularly noteworthy, with krill serving as the primary food source in the polar seas, supporting whales, seals, penguins, and seabirds. Additionally, deep-sea creatures living on the seabed attract attention. Under the ice, various organisms such as algae and jellyfish can be found. Furthermore, rare fish species and underwater vegetation are also present in Antarctica. On land, suitable conditions for life, especially in coastal areas, exist. The coasts of Antarctica are preferred nesting grounds for millions of penguins and seabirds, and seals are also frequently seen in coastal areas. Vegetation on land is quite limited, but lichens, algae, and some plant species can be found in moist and wet areas beneath the glaciers. Understanding Antarctica's biological diversity is crucial for understanding how organisms adapt to this challenging environment. Furthermore, this diversity provides scientists with an opportunity to understand the effects of climate change, environmental impacts, and human intervention on natural life. However, the continent's delicate ecosystem is threatened by human activities such as tourism and research activities. Therefore, the preservation and sustainable management of Antarctica are of great importance. Antarctica's biological diversity has evolved based on the continent's unique natural conditions and isolated location. Organisms living under these extreme conditions have managed to survive through adaptation and specialization. For example, the oily feathers of penguins and the thick blubber of whales provide protection against the effects of cold waters. Similarly, the body structures of fish and marine creatures living in polar seas are specially adapted to the risk of freezing. Antarctica's biological diversity is also a significant source of interest for scientists. The continent's isolated nature and unique ecosystem allow for various scientific research and discoveries. Researchers use Antarctica as a laboratory to understand how species survive in this challenging environment, as well as interspecies relationships and ecosystem dynamics. However, Antarctica's biological diversity faces environmental threats. Factors such as climate change, rising sea levels, and human activities can negatively impact the continent's ecosystems. Particularly, sensitive habitats like penguin and seal colonies in coastal areas are endangered due to tourism and research activities. Therefore, international cooperation and conservation efforts are crucial to protect and sustainably manage Antarctica's biological diversity. This continent represents one of the most delicate and important ecosystems on Earth and must be preserved for future generations. The struggle for survival of penguins in the freezing waters of Antarctica is one of the most iconic images of this wild land. Various penguin species such as Adelie, Emperor, and Gentoo, found particularly in the southern hemisphere, form large colonies in coastal areas. These penguins lay their eggs in rocky areas on land or along the edges of glaciers and successfully complete the incubation period despite the intense cold. They then dive into the seas to feed their chicks, consuming ample amounts of krill and fish. Penguins continue to live underwater even during winter, following their prey in the depths of the freezing waters. These cute and resilient creatures have unique adaptations to survive in Antarctica's harsh conditions. Emperor penguins, the largest penguin species in Antarctica, inhabit ice-covered coastal areas. These penguins, approximately 1.2 meters in length and weighing between 40 to 45 kilograms, stand out with their dark blue-black backs and white chests. Emperor penguins breed on the ice during winter and lay a single egg. During the incubation period, males keep the egg warm by placing it on their feet. Both parents then venture into the sea to hunt for prey to feed their chicks. Antarctica harbors an important habitat for various whale species. Species such as mink, dwarf, and baleen whales choose these cold waters as their home. These giant marine mammals typically feed on krill and small fish schools, sustaining themselves with Antarctica's rich marine life. These whale species migrate to these areas during the summer months and typically feed near the edges of glaciers and coastal waters, while migrating towards warmer waters during the winter months. However, threats such as global warming and hunting endanger the lives of these magnificent marine creatures. Antarctica provides an important habitat for various seal species. Different seal species such as Weddell, leopard, and Ross seals are commonly found in coastal areas and seas near glaciers. These seals usually rest on ice floes or shores and raise their young. Diving into the sea for feeding, seals typically prey on fish, krill, and other marine organisms. The cold waters of Antarctica provide an environment where seals have adapted and sustained their lives by tracking their prey. Weddell seals, living in the cold waters of Antarctica, have perfectly adapted to these challenging conditions. This seal species is protected against the effects of cold water by a soft fur layer and oily skin. Additionally, they can hunt underwater amidst ice thanks to their powerful flippers. Weddell seals typically give birth near ice floes or under ice and feed by tracking their prey. Antarctic petrel is found in coastal areas and islands of Antarctica. It gets its name from its red-colored beak. Smaller than other penguin species, Antarctic petrels have white chests and a yellow stripe on top of their heads. They usually live in colonies and dive into the sea for hunting during the winter months. Antarctic krill is one of the main food sources in Antarctica's seas. Krill, a small, crab-like marine organism, floats in swarms of millions of tons in Antarctica's waters. It serves as a fundamental food source for other marine creatures and is also an important part of the ecosystem. Albatrosses, symbolic birds of Antarctica, are known for their magnificent wingspans and masterful flights over the oceans. These large birds are often associated with long-distance migrations and Antarctica's cold waters. Albatrosses rank among the largest birds in terms of wingspan, with some species exceeding 3 meters. These wide wings provide albatrosses with a tremendous gliding effect, facilitating their long-distance flights. They are also known for their long lifespans, with some species living up to 50 years. This longevity enables them to adapt to their surroundings and undertake long-distance migrations. Albatrosses mostly inhabit oceans and seas, feeding on fish, squid, and other marine organisms. They feed by skimming prey from the sea surface or by following their prey. Albatrosses are renowned for their magnificent migration abilities. Some species can cover distances of thousands of kilometers, crossing oceans along migration routes that last for years. These long-distance migrations are a significant part of the albatross's life cycle, connecting breeding, feeding, and nesting areas. They typically lay a single egg, and the care of their offspring spans a considerable period. The offspring are nurtured and protected by their parents for an extended period. Young albatrosses are dependent on their parents during this time for their growth and strengthening. Antarctica's freezing waters and lands pose a serious challenge for the organisms living here. However, many species have developed various adaptations to cope with the cold. For example, the dense feathers of penguins help them maintain body heat and provide insulation against the cold. Additionally, some species like marine mammals develop a thick layer of fat to minimize heat loss. While Antarctica's waters freeze at very low temperatures, some marine organisms living beneath these waters produce antifreeze proteins to adapt to these conditions. These proteins prevent the cells from freezing, ensuring the survival of organisms. For instance, fish species in Antarctica produce antifreeze proteins in their cells, enabling them to withstand temperatures below the freezing point of water. Some organisms living in Antarctica have a slow metabolism. This strategy helps them maintain body heat and minimize energy consumption. Particularly in winter months, many organisms reduce their metabolic rates and conserve energy. This helps alleviate the challenges of finding food and increases their chances of survival. Despite being covered by extreme cold, winds, and freezing conditions, Antarctica also provides a habitat for terrestrial life. The terrestrial ecosystem is undoubtedly dominated by glaciers, but nevertheless, some microorganisms, lichens, and other plant species have adapted to this harsh environment. In some areas of Antarctica, especially in moist and wet regions, lichens are commonly found. Lichens are slow-growing, durable organisms formed by the symbiosis of fungi and algae. These organisms are resistant to cold and dry conditions, and some species can spend their life cycles under glaciers. Lichens play an important role in Antarctica's terrestrial ecosystem and contribute to soil formation. In the coastal regions of Antarctica and some moist areas, the presence of mosses and small plants can be observed. These plants are usually found on rocky outcrops under glaciers, along riverbanks, or near hot springs. Such plants diversify the terrestrial ecosystem and provide a habitat for other organisms. Some mosses, especially in coastal areas and near glaciers, are resistant to temperature and moisture changes and can continue to grow even in harsh conditions. They help prevent soil erosion and provide habitat. A significant component of Antarctica's terrestrial life is the diversity of microorganisms. Bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms living in soil, snow, and ice form the foundation of the ecosystem. These organisms have resilient characteristics and can survive in extreme conditions, with some even living in frozen environments. Despite being one of the most remote and challenging regions on Earth, Antarctica is an extremely attractive research area for scientists. Research stations located on this continent allow scientists from many countries to explore various aspects of the continent. McMurdo, the largest Antarctic research station of the United States, is located on Ross Island. This station is used for research in environmental sciences, geology, biology, meteorology, and astrophysics, among many other fields. Additionally, McMurdo is the largest infrastructure hub in Antarctica, hosting various transportation vehicles and support services. Located in the South Pole, the Amundsen Scott South Pole Research Station is the primary scientific base of the United States. The station hosts significant research in various fields such as atmospheric and space sciences, climate research, astrophysics, glacial geology, and biology. Additionally, the South Pole Research Station contributes to international collaboration projects. The Palmer Research Station is a research facility located on the Antarctic Peninsula. This station is used for studies in oceanography, marine biology, ecology, climate change, as well as hosting projects related to the conservation of endangered species and environmental impact monitoring. The Vostok Research Station, situated in the interior of Antarctica, is one of Russia's largest research stations. This station conducts research in geology, glaciology, climate studies, space exploration, and has been used to study Lake Vostok, one of the world's deepest subglacial lakes. People have developed various strategies for living and conducting research in Antarctica. Buildings and facilities used for living or research in Antarctica must be resilient to extreme cold and windy conditions. These buildings are typically insulated and equipped with climate control systems to maintain a warm and comfortable indoor environment. Workers in Antarctica use special clothing and equipment to protect themselves from extreme cold. These garments are often multi-layered and waterproof to retain body heat and shield against wind. Adequate and balanced nutrition is crucial for those living or working in Antarctica. Therefore, research stations usually provide fresh food prepared under hygienic conditions. Additionally, special measures are taken to ensure the supply of water does not freeze. Research stations typically have medical personnel and equipment to respond to emergencies. Antarctica is an intriguing continent harboring many mysteries yet to be discovered, making it a fascinating research area. The icy landscapes of Antarctica conceal a range of secrets that pique the interest of researchers. Beneath Antarctica's ice, there may be undiscovered species adapted to cold waters and darkness, possessing unique characteristics. Hints suggest the presence of lakes beneath Antarctica's ice sheets. These lakes' waters may have remained isolated for thousands of years and could host unique microbial life. Fossil remains dating back millions of years and traces of ancient life may be found beneath Antarctica's glaciers, providing insights into past climate conditions and life forms. Antarctica is a region where meteorites from space are collected, potentially containing materials from beyond Earth and revealing secrets of the universe. Evidence of subglacial rivers has been found beneath Antarctica's ice sheets, suggesting they may play a role in influencing glacier movement and melting. Antarctica is the coldest, driest, and most remote continent on Earth. Despite its nearly uninhabitable environment for humans, this ice-covered continent has become a major focus of scientific interest. The exploration of Antarctica is a testament to humanity's curiosity and the power of scientific inquiry. The discovery of Antarctica spans a process that dates back to the early 19th century, but real efforts to explore and research the continent gained momentum in the early 20th century. Russian mariners Fabian Gottlieb von Bellingshausen and Mikhail Lazarev first sighted the Antarctic coast and discovered Alexander I Island in 1820. That same year, British Captain William Smith discovered the South Shetland Islands. The explorations of British navigator James Cook played a significant role in mapping Antarctica's coastlines. In 1773 and 1774, he extensively traveled in the Southern Ocean and recorded many islands approaching the South Pole. Although not the first to discover Antarctica, he made significant progress in mapping and recording unknown territories. In the 1830s, French explorer Jules Dumont d'Urville and British mariner James Weddell organized expeditions toward the South Pole and mapped its coasts. However, true exploration occurred in the early 20th century with polar research expeditions led by Norwegian explorer Roald Amundsen and British explorer Robert Falcon Scott. In 1911 and 1912, Amundsen and Scott separately aimed to reach the South Pole. Amundsen, as a Norwegian explorer, succeeded in becoming the first person to reach the South Pole. On December 14, 1911, Amundsen and his team became the first humans to reach the South Pole. A few weeks later, on January 17, 1912, Scott and his team also reached the South Pole, but they arrived approximately a month after Amundsen and tragically lost their lives on the return journey. The discovery of Antarctica was a reflection of humanity's desire to expand geographical boundaries. While these discoveries contributed to the advancement of science and mapping, they also meant discovering new frontiers for humanity. Scientific research in Antarctica rapidly increased throughout the 20th century. Particularly after World War II, many countries organized expeditions to the continent for scientific discoveries. These explorations provided significant information on climate change, glacier movements, marine biology, and many other scientific topics. Polar regions are threatened due to the uniqueness and fragility of their ecosystems. Factors such as climate change, melting sea ice, pollution, overfishing, tourism, and excessive use of natural resources are harming ecosystems in these sensitive areas. However, the international community is engaged in various conservation efforts to combat these threats and protect the polar regions. Polar regions are one of the fastest warming areas globally. Rising temperatures lead to the melting of sea ice, glacier retreat, and changes in habitats. Global warming reduces sea ice and creates more open water areas in summer months, leading to habitat loss for marine life and potential disruptions in ecosystem balance. International agreements like the Antarctic Treaty support efforts to protect polar regions. These agreements promote the conservation of natural habitats, environmental management, and scientific research. Scientific research is crucial for understanding and protecting polar ecosystems. These studies involve collecting and monitoring data on climate change, marine biology, glaciology, and other areas. Increasing public awareness about the conservation and sustainable use of polar regions is an essential component of conservation efforts. Education and awareness programs can raise environmental awareness among local communities and visitors. Don't forget to subscribe for new documentaries and more scientific content.